This video is sponsored by Squarespace. There are two new Wacom Cintiq Pros, a 22-inch and a 17-inch, and I got my hands on this one, the 17. So let's check it out. Hello, my name is Brad. I review tech for creative professionals, and Wacom prices have always been on the, let's say, premium side of things. And the last gen Cintiq Pro 16 came in at around $1,500. Now this new 17 starts at $2,500. And while competitors have always been able to come in significantly cheaper, you could always rely on Wacom to deliver a lot of bells and whistles on their high-end products. And while I'm used to paying more for quality, this time around, I hesitated for a good long time before I was able to finally click that buy button. And full disclosure, while I did buy the tablet itself after seeing my live stream where I set this thing up and tested it out a few weeks ago, the folks over at Wacom sent me their stand. They told me they're really proud of the stand. They wanted me to experience that as part of this review. So they did send that over to me. I had it for the last few days. And so I'll be talking about that a little bit as part of this package as well. So let's get this out of the way early. Why does it cost so much? The niche that Wacom has decided to fill with their latest Pro line is, well, more pro. And where that really shows is in the display itself. There are industries out there that need super crazy, accurate color, far beyond what I need and what most illustrators will ever need. These can display over 1 billion colors, so you can get 1000 Rec 709, 99% DCI-P3, and there are hardware presets for those, along with things like Adobe RGB, sRGB, EBU, Rec 2020, PQ, and HLG. And if you don't know what any of that means, don't feel bad, because I don't either. But if you're an animator and you need to see how your film is going to look when it's projected in a big open theater, and then you want to see how it looks when it's shown on a home television set, you can switch color profiles right on your tablet and do that. If you're a photographer who needs to see how your work will look when it's printed, but you don't want to move it over to a separate reference monitor all the time just to get an accurate color representation in CMYK, you could do that right here, now, on the tablet. Being able to accurately replicate these color spaces is the baseline that Wacom was designing these products for. So with that said, that makes this complete and total overkill for me, and probably most of you watching this. Remember a few years ago when Apple rolled out their Pro XDR display and they were like, guys, it's only $5,000. Yeah, I thought they were nuts too. But that's because color accurate monitors can get crazy expensive. So hopefully that will give you some extra context here for the price. Oh geez, I've been talking here for a while and I haven't even touched on the tablet. So before we get to that, I want to shout out today's sponsor, Squarespace. I've been using Squarespace as a portfolio for a while, but over the last few weeks, I've been moving more and more stuff over to that because of their new templating engine. Now I can create pages where I rank my favorite drawing tech, or I can create pages where I can list out more information about my online courses. Starting with a best-in-class website template, you can customize every design detail and reimagine it with their drag and drop technology for desktop or on mobile. You can upload, organize, access all of your content from one place using Squarespace's asset library. You're able to manage all your files from a central hub and use them across the entire Squarespace platform. And then there's Squarespace's analytics, where you can use those insights to grow your business, and you can learn where your site visits and sales are coming from, analyze which channels are most effective, improve your website, and build marketing strategies based on your top keywords or most popular products and content. Head over to squarespace.com for a free trial. When you're ready to get started, go to squarespace.com/BradColbo to save 10% on your first purchase of a website or domain. Okay, let's dive in. Let's talk about these specs. This is a 17.3-inch laminated display coming in at a full 4K. That's 3,840 pixels by 2,160 pixels. These are pretty thin bezels for a Wacom device. It's also a touchscreen. And, like I mentioned before, it's got a huge color range and can display over 1 billion. That's with a B color. This is also a 120 hertz display. It's a nice bump up from the old Cintiq Pro 16, which is only rocking 60 hertz. I am connecting this with a USB-C cable that it came with. I also need power here in order for this to like work properly. There's an option here to do HDMI as well. Oh, also a mini display port. Neither an HDMI cord or a mini display port are included in the box, so if you want to go that route, you're gonna have to bring your own. And this here, this is their Pro Pen 3. This is the same pen that shipped with the 27-inch Cintiq Pro I reviewed last year, and it's a pretty cool pen. It's totally modular. There are these different cores. If you want a thin pen, you could do that, or if you want a medium or a thick pen, you can add these like extra chunky tops to it. And there's even this little weight included. So if you want a more weighty pen, which I do, I can just pop that in the back and I'm good to go. Now, a lot of commenters pointed out on my 27-inch review that this does lose that old eraser button along the back, something I'm always overlooking because I never use those, but if you do, you are missing that here. But if you have an old Pro Pen 2 sitting around, you can use this on this tablet. Actually, it's kind of a neat feature. What I found is when I was testing it out just to see if it would work, it automatically added it to my settings, so I could go in and play around with that pen as well. So if you want something with that eraser, you can totally do that. Now, drawing with a stylus is great. This is a super crisp line. It's got great tilt settings. It just feels great. If I'm doing like super fast, hard lines, I do see some shoestringing on that. Occasionally, it's making its presence felt, but for the most part, the stylus is very, very good. The box that this pen comes in has a little screw on the side, so you can attach this to either side of the tablet or even along the top of the tablet. It doubles as a pen holder. Now, along the back of this device, there's something, they're kind of like handles, I guess. They're like molded game controller type things. Each handle has 4 customizable shortcut keys. Since my right hand is holding the pen, I was only ever using the like left-hand side of the tablet. The settings here have a lot of customizability here. I'm used to drawing on iPads and Android tablets, so like 2-finger touch to undo is like ingrained in my workflow. That's not here, but what Wacom has done instead is they've included like this whole range of hand gesture touch controls that are totally customizable that you could dive in and play with to your heart's content. I ended up settling in on like this 3 fingers to bring up an express menu thing, and then I had things like undo and redo and some of the common things that I use every day while I'm drawing in Photoshop that I would otherwise have to use keyboard shortcuts for. You can go crazy with these settings. I'm just scratching the surface on here, but it's an impressive level of depth. They've also really cleaned up the false touch issue that older models had back in the day. Occasionally, my palm will leave a mark or accidentally switch tools, but those occurrences are pretty rare. If you don't like the touch settings, it's pretty easy to turn it off. There's actually a hard toggle switch along the back of the device. You can just reach around and turn it off. In the box, by default, there is a stand. While the tablet does sit at a slight angle and it's just sitting flat or semi-flat on your desk, that means that you can't reach around and use those shortcut keys and those handles. What the stand does is it lifts it off the desk a little bit and it lets you like get a good grip. Now, these are solid pieces of metal. They weigh almost as much as the Cintiq itself. They screw onto the back. There are some like VESA mount stands. These things are not going anywhere. And it makes this thing feel really solid and chunky. Then there is the more fancy stand. This is the one that Wacom sent to me. The stand is an additional $450, but I will say this is a very good stand. The box it came in was huge, and the stand itself is very heavy. Looking at the box next to my dog or the Cintiq itself, I was worried they sent me the wrong size. They didn't. Moving it up and down, this thing is really stiff. Now that may sound like a bad thing, but in this case, it is not. When I move it up to set it higher or at a different angle for drawing, it's not going anywhere. Normal hand pressure, arm pressure, it's not gonna move it. There is a height lock along the back if you do find it kind of sinking down on you as you're drawing. I didn't run into that, but it's nice that that is there. This also rotates the screen just a little bit. It's not too much, only a few degrees each way. This rotation is more for finding a good angle for drawing than it is for rotating 90 degrees to use as a monitor. And if you're like me and you just rather use the touch screen to rotate your drawing manually, there is a lock along the bottom that'll keep this display from rotating at all. So what do I think? You know, it's overkill for most people, even though I love the features, like the handles with the shortcuts, the fancy stand. I don't have any complaints about this product per se. It's a great Wacom tablet. It's just that price. I understand why Wacom's going super high end with their products, why they're servicing that market. But at the same time, I hope Wacom doesn't completely abandon the high-end illustration market. The market that wants that modular Pro Pen 3, that wants a 4K touchscreen, that wants etched glass and cool shortcut handles, but doesn't need those like super high-end color calibrated settings that are really pushing the price up here. They have the Wacom One line, which is stripped down, but it feels, too stripped down. I still want the Pro Pen. I still want some of those higher end features. I guess what I want is, what I've just described, is the older Wacom Cintiq Pro 16, which actually is still on sale on Wacom's site. I feel like that's the thing that hits the sweet spot, and probably the thing I would recommend to most of you watching right now. If you're looking for a really nice Wacom tablet at this size, that's the one I'd go for. But what do you think? Let me know down below in the comments. Thank you all for watching, and I'll talk to you in a couple of days.